I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to catch his wife cheating, but here I am, sitting in a cold silence that's worse than any explosion I could have ever imagined. Her name, Emily, and we've been together for about 8 years now. Everything seemed fine, or at least I thought it was. We were planning our wedding, which should have been the happiest time of my life. But looking back, the first cracks showed up when she started acting a little weird, a little too busy or distracted. I'd ask her about it and she'd brush me off with that bitchy tone she uses whenever she's annoyed. "It's just stress," she'd snap, or "you wouldn't understand." That should have been my first red flag, but I didn't want to see it. I was blinded by the wedding planning, by the idea of a future with her, and maybe also by some stupid hope that everything was just normal, that the small signs of her pulling away were just the stress talking. Our relationship had its ups and downs, sure. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I prided myself on being honest, loyal, the guy who would always be. There, she used to be the same, until she started changing about 6 months before the wedding. Little things. She started taking her phone everywhere, kept her notifications on silent constantly, even when I was around. When I'd ask about it, she'd get bitchy, roll her eyes, tell me I was overthinking. But I was. I had a gut feeling that something was off. Still, I convinced myself she was just stressed, that maybe she was hiding some secret because she was overwhelmed. That's what I told myself because facing the truth was too damn terrifying. One day, I noticed her phone was missing from the nightstand. Usually, she left it on the charger after work, but that night it was gone. I checked the charger, nothing. I figured she'd taken it to bed with her. But then, at 2 a.m., I was restless and decided to check her messages. I'd never done that before, never wanted to invade her privacy. But something about the way she was acting just didn't sit right. I grabbed her phone while she was asleep, and I saw the last message she sent was to Liam, our dance instructor. Liam, the guy we hired to help us with our wedding dance, and someone I'd actually met a few times. Nice guy, easygoing, but the texts I saw, damn. They weren't about a dance or choreography, they were flirty, suggestive, even a little dirty. She kept calling him babe, and he was calling her sweetheart. I read the messages, and I felt like my stomach dropped through the floor. My mind kept racing, trying to deny it, but the words on that screen didn't lie. They talked about meeting up, practicing special moves, and that they enjoyed secret lessons. I kept scrolling, and there were photos, some taken in the studio late at night, just the two of them. Her in a tight dress, Liam looking at her like she was the only thing in the world. I froze, my hands trembling, heart pounding. I stared at her asleep, then back at the phone. I felt rage, betrayal, shock all at once. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me during wedding preparations? It wasn't just some fling. She'd been lying to me, hiding this affair right under my nose. I felt humiliated, like a fool. All those months of her being distant, bitchy, snapping at me. She was with Liam, probably practicing their damn special choreography in the studio while I parked the car waiting outside. She said she was just practicing and getting ready, but those security cameras tell a different story. They caught her going in and out of the studio with Liam every week, usually late at night, always with an excuse about extra dance practice. Yeah, right. The worst part was her lying about it. When I confronted her the next morning, she acted like I was crazy, told me I was mistrustful, that Liam was just a friend helping with the wedding. She said I was paranoid, jealous even. She looked me dead in the eye and told me she loved me, that I was imagining things. But I knew she was lying. I could see it in her eyes, her guilty eyes, and her bitchy tone only made it worse. I kept asking and she kept spinning stories, twisting everything around, making me doubt my own senses. But I had enough. I'd seen enough. That night I decided I couldn't go on living like this, pretending I was blind to the truth. I needed a plan. I couldn't just confront her blindly, not without knowing the full story. But I wasn't naive. I knew I had to catch her again, see if she slipped up or find more evidence. And that's when I really started digging. I secretly installed a recording app on her phone, started monitoring her texts and calls without her knowing. It was risky, I know, but I felt like I had no choice. I had to find out how deep this rabbit hole went. And trust me, what I found was even worse than I'd imagined. The lies, the sneaking around, the secret lessons, they all pointed to one thing. Emily was having an affair with Liam, and it wasn't just about dance practice. It was about sex, about real betrayal. I started noticing her behavior changing even more. She became more bitchy, more dismissive, snapping at me over small things. When I tried talking to her about the wedding and us, she'd brush me off, say I was being paranoid, accused me of trying to control her. But I knew better. I knew she was cheating, and I was furious. I felt humiliated in a way I never had before, like I'd been played for a fool, the guy who believed his wife loved him. But I also felt something else, something colder, darker, a need for revenge. Because she didn't just cheat on me. She lied, manipulated, and I couldn't let her get away with it. Not without consequences. Now I'm sitting here writing this out, trying to process what I've discovered. I can't sleep. My mind keeps replaying every moment I saw her with Liam, every lie she told, every excuse she made. I want to make her pay, but I also want to find clarity. Do I confront her again, or do I just walk away? Something inside me says I've got to do something, something that'll shake her, make her realize what she's lost. Because if she's willing to cheat on me and lie through her teeth, then she doesn't deserve any mercy. Not anymore. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't just sweep this under the rug or confront her again without a solid plan. I had to be smart. If she was lying this easily, she'd probably deny everything, act innocent, and maybe even turn it around on me. I needed proof, undeniable. Proof and a way to make her realize I knew the truth. Every time I saw her bitchy smirk or her dismissive attitude, it fueled my anger. But deep down, beyond the rage, there was this crushing sadness, a feeling I couldn't shake that maybe I'd missed the signs all along. Maybe I'd trusted her too much. Maybe I should have seen it coming. So I kept digging, staying silent on the surface but gathering everything I could. I started checking her emails, her social media accounts. I installed a keylogger on her laptop, something I struggled with morally, but I felt justified because she'd betrayed me so badly. I found more messages with Liam, flirtatious, suggestive, even some that explicitly talked about meeting up. There were pictures she never thought I'd see. One that made my stomach turn, her in the studio leaning into Liam, whispering something I couldn't hear, but the way they were positioned, the intimacy of it, I knew that was more than dance practice. That was sex. It was around that time I noticed her phone was constantly in her hand, her replies getting more provocative. She'd go to the bathroom, sneak out for work meetings, and I started waiting outside her door just to see what she was up to. I caught her one night sneaking into the studio with Liam again. She was dressed sexier than usual, more provocative. That bitchy attitude she threw at me was just a mask, hiding her guilt, her desire, her need to keep this secret hidden. I felt this strange mixture of disgust and heartbreak. How could she do this to me? After all the years, all the promises, all the dreams we shared, I remember the moment clearly. I was parked across the street, watching her go into the studio. I wanted to believe she was just rehearsing, but the way she hurried in, clutching her phone like it was some kind of treasure, told me she was hiding something. When I finally got inside the studio, I saw her pressed against Liam, their bodies close, her hand running over his chest. They didn't hear me come in. They were too caught up in whatever secret world they'd created. I stood there for a moment, frozen, watching them kiss. That was the moment I knew. I had to confront her, but I also knew she'd lie her ass off. That night, I waited until she came home. I was prepared, ready for whatever bullshit she threw at me. When she walked through the door, I just looked at her and said, "Who the fuck is Liam?" Her eyes widened and her bitchy smirk faltered. She tried to deny it, said he was just helping with the dance, that I was crazy. That was her go-to line, "You're overreacting," or "You don't trust me." But I cut her off. I laid out everything I'd found, every text, every photo, every secret meeting. Her face went pale, her usual bitchy attitude replaced by that look of complete guilt. She started lying faster than I could keep up, saying it was just sex, that she was bored, that she didn't love me anymore. She told me I was stupid for not trusting her, that Liam was just a friend helping with the choreography. I felt my blood boil. I'd never been so furious in my life. Not just because she cheated, though that was bad enough, but because she tried to make me feel like I was the crazy one, like I was imagining things. And her bitchiness, her tone, she was so dismissive, like she thought I was some idiot who'd believe her bullshit. That's when I realized I couldn't stay in that marriage with a woman who lied and cheated so easily. I'd always been loyal, always honest, and look what she did. She fucking threw it all away for Liam. For some guy she probably thought was exciting because he was a dance instructor. I mean, that's all it was supposed to be, she said. Just lessons. Just choreography. Yeah, right. The emotional impact hit me hard then. I was devastated, but at the same time I was furious. I felt betrayed, humiliated, like I'd been played for a fool. That bitchy attitude she threw at me was just her cover-up, her way of pretending nothing was wrong while she fucked Liam behind my back. I wanted to scream at her, to punish her, to make her feel what I was feeling, like my heart was breaking into a million pieces. But I also knew that confrontation wouldn't fix anything. No, I had to think bigger. I had to do something that would make her regret ever crossing me. I started planning my revenge that very night. The thing was, I wasn't just going to leave quietly, not without making sure she knew what she'd lost. I knew about her lies, her sneaking around, her betrayal. I'd caught her, and now I was just figuring out how to make her suffer for it. I felt a strange clarity in that chaos. If she was willing to cheat, to lie, to dismiss everything we ever had, then she didn't deserve my forgiveness. Maybe I was naive before, maybe I believed in her, in us. But now I saw her for what she really was, a bitchy, manipulative woman capable of destroying everything we built. And I was done being the fool. It was time for her to face the consequences, whatever they might be. After that night, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and I couldn't stop thinking about how I'd been played. My mind kept circling around her bitchy smirk, her lies, and Liam's stupid, smug face as he kissed her in that studio. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. For years, I thought we had a solid, honest relationship. Turns out, I was just the guy she settled for while she chased some forbidden thrill. That realization made my stomach churn. I wasn't just angry, I was hurt to my core. But the worst part was knowing she'd been lying about practicing choreography all those weeks. Security cameras proved otherwise. They caught her sneaking in and out of the studio late at night, always with Liam, always with that smirk on her face like she was getting away with something. I saw the footage myself and it made my blood boil. She'd lied to my face, told me she was working late, that she was just getting ready for the wedding, and I'd believed her. Now I knew better. She'd been sneaking off to see Liam probably more than once a week for months, and I was the fool parking outside waiting for her to come home, completely clueless. That's when I made a decision. I had to confront her again, but this time smarter. I needed her to admit everything, to see her squirm. I wanted her to know I knew the truth and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. So I got hold of her phone again, kept the recordings running, and kept my eyes peeled. I was ready for the showdown. One evening when she came home, I was waiting in the living room. She looked annoyed, bitchy as usual, acting like I was the one overreacting. She threw her purse on the table and snapped, "What do you want now? Can't you just leave me alone?" I stared her down, holding her phone in my hand, already recording. "I want to talk about Liam," I said quietly. Her eyes widened just for a second, but she quickly regained her bitchy facade. "There's nothing to talk about," she shot back. "You're just paranoid as usual." I took a step closer, keeping my calm. "No, Emily, I've seen the messages, I've seen the photos. You've been sneaking around behind my back, you've been lying to me, and honestly, I don't even know who you are anymore." Her face twisted with anger, but her voice was still dismissive. "You don't know what you're talking about, and you're just jealous because Liam's better in bed than you ever were." That stung. Hard. Because part of me wanted to believe she was just trying to hurt me, but the truth was, Liam was probably getting everything she refused to give me. Passion, excitement, the kind of sex she used to pretend she loved. I kept going. "How many nights have you been in that studio with him? How many times have you lied about where you were? I want the truth, Emily, be honest with me." She crossed her arms, her bitchy smirk back in place. "You're just making stuff up. Liam's helping us with the dance, that's all. You're jealous, insecure, and frankly, you're embarrassing yourself." That was her go-to move: dismiss, deny, deflect. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I knew she was lying, I knew she'd been cheating, and I was done playing her game. The emotional blow hit me then. I felt this deep ache in my chest, like I'd lost a part of myself. I trusted her, loved her, built a future with her, and now all I had left was this cold truth, that she had been screwing Liam the whole time. I looked at her, saw her bitchy attitude, and realized how little she cared about us, about what we had. It was all about her thrill, her secret little world with Liam. And somehow that made me even angrier. I wanted to smash. Something to yell to make her feel the pain she'd caused me. But instead I just stood there, silent, gathering my strength. I knew I couldn't let her manipulate her way out of this. I had undeniable proof now. The videos, the messages, her dismissiveness. Everything pointed to one thing. Emily was a cheat, a liar, and a selfish woman who didn't care about what she threw away for some stupid affair. I realized I had to decide whether I'd stay and try to salvage this mess or walk away and leave her to her lies. Honestly, I felt like I was barely hanging on by a thread, but I also knew that I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with her betrayal. Not anymore. I finally told her, "I'm done, Emily. I don't want to see your face again until you're honest. I know everything now, and I don't want to be with someone who treats me like I'm nothing." Her bitchy attitude faded for a second, replaced by a look of pure contempt. "You're overreacting," she spat. "You're insecure. Liam never meant anything to me. You're just paranoid." Yeah, I'd heard that before, and I'd heard enough lies to last a lifetime. I knew her game now. She was a snake, and I needed to get away before I got bitten again. That's when I decided I'd have to take some drastic steps. I wasn't just going to walk out. I wanted her to feel what she'd done to me, to understand that her betrayal had consequences. I started thinking about how to do that. Maybe confront Liam, maybe leak the truth to friends or family, or even just make her realize how much she'd lost. Whatever it was, I was done being the fool. I was done pretending everything was okay. Right now, I'm just trying to breathe, trying to process what's happened. I keep replaying that moment in the studio, her lips on Liam's, the look in her eyes so full of lust and betrayal. I never thought I'd see the day when I'd be betrayed this badly, and honestly, I feel like I'm still in shock. But deep down, I know I have to be strong. Whatever happens next, I'll never forget how she made me feel, how she humiliated me, lied to me, and shattered whatever trust we had. And I swear I'll make sure she regrets ever crossing that line with Liam. After that confrontation, I knew I couldn't just go back to pretending everything was okay. I had to plan my next move carefully. Burn the bridges I'd built over the years, make her feel the full weight of what she'd done, and somehow find a way to come out of this with some shred of dignity left. I started by cleaning out her phone, deleting some of the more incriminating evidence from her apps, but I left enough to remind me of the truth. I wanted her to know I was serious, that I wasn't just going to roll over like some naive fool. I also decided to install a second hidden camera in our bedroom. I wanted to catch her off guard again, maybe get her to slip up further. I wasn't just doing this to catch her in the act. I wanted her to see that I was paying attention, that I knew everything now. I kept thinking about Liam, about what kind of guy he was, and how I'd make him regret ever messing with my wife. The thought of Liam touching her, kissing her, making her feel alive. While I was sitting here feeling dead inside, that's what fueled my rage. I wasn't going to let that slide. Over the next few days, she kept up her usual bitchy attitude, but I could see the cracks. She was starting to sweat, to get nervous when I was around. She'd snap at me over tiny things, accuse me of trust issues, and act like I was the one in the wrong. But I knew better. I knew her game. I had more evidence now, and I was going to use it. I started talking to a lawyer just to understand my options. I was prepared to do whatever it took, file for divorce, get a restraining order, whatever would make her realize she couldn't keep screwing around behind my back and expect to get away with it. One night, I decided it was time for the ultimate move. I set up my hidden camera in the bedroom, aimed at her bed. I wanted to catch her in the act if she slipped up again, but I also wanted her to know I was serious. That same night, she sneaked out of the house after telling me she was going to a work meeting, again with her phone glued to her hand. I watched her walk down the driveway, her heels clicking loudly, then slip into Liam's car. That was it. I hit record. I watched her drive away, her silhouette disappearing into the night. That moment was pure adrenaline. I knew I had all I needed now. Evidence of her cheating, lying, sneaking around. I was furious but also strangely relieved. I finally saw everything clearly. My wife, the woman I loved, was nothing more than a selfish, manipulative bitch who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. I didn't deserve that, and I wasn't going to let her shame me any longer. I felt like I was finally taking back control of my life. I didn't know what I would do next, but I knew I had to do something big, something that would make her regret ever crossing me. The next morning, I sat down and drafted a message to her, cold, straightforward, no emotion. I told her I knew everything, that I had proof, and that I was done. I told her I was filing for divorce, that I didn't want to see her anymore, and that she better start packing her shit. I knew she'd try to deny it, to lie her way out, but I didn't care. I just wanted her gone. I wanted her to feel small, to realize that she'd lost everything she ever pretended to care about. I was done being her fool, her patsy, the guy who believed in fairy tales. And then I waited. I didn't rush. No, I wanted her to think her lies had bought her some time. But I was ready for when she finally cracked, when she realized I wasn't messing around. I watched her the next couple of days, her bitchy attitude intensifying, her trying to act innocent, but I could see her eyes flicker when she thought I wasn't looking. She knew I had her number now, and the game was over as far as I was concerned. Finally, she snapped. One evening, she stormed into the living room, furious. "You think you can control me? You think you can just throw me out and that's it?" She spat. I just looked at her, calm and cold. "I know what you did. I know about Liam, about your little special lessons. And I'm done. Pack your shit and get out. I don't want to see your face again." Her bitchy mask cracked for a second, revealing a flicker of panic. She tried to lie one last time, but I cut her off. This was it. The end of our story. As she stormed off to pack her things, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Part of me was glad it was over, that I finally saw her for what she really was. But another part was hollow, mourning the loss of the woman I thought I knew. I'd been betrayed in the worst way, and now I was left to pick up the pieces. I knew I'd never trust her again. That image of her in Liam's studio, her lips on his, her bitchy smirk, those would haunt me forever. But at least now I had clarity. I knew I deserved better. I knew I'd get through this. And I knew I'd never let anyone do that to me again. The days that followed were some of the darkest I've ever experienced. After she left, I felt this overwhelming emptiness, like my whole world had shifted beneath my feet. The house was eerily quiet without her bitchy comments, her dismissive attitude, and her constant presence. I spent hours going through the footage I'd collected, replaying every moment, her lips on Liam's, her sneaking out late at night, her texts full of flirtation. It was like a sick movie that I couldn't turn off. Every scene burned in my mind, stabbing me anew each time I watched. I kept asking myself how I'd missed all those signs, how I'd been so blind to her lies. The worst part was the realization that I could never get those moments back. I thought about everything we'd shared, our plans, our promises, all that was now tainted by her betrayal. I'd loved her, trusted her, built a future with her. And she'd thrown it away for Liam, that little dance instructor who probably thought he was some kind of Casanova. I couldn't help but feel disgusted every time I thought about how she'd used me, how she'd manipulated me into believing she was faithful. The anger inside me was like a fire, burning hotter with each passing day. I decided I needed to do something for myself, something to reclaim my life from the wreckage she left behind. I started exercising, hitting the gym hard, trying to clear my mind. I also reached out to my few close friends, guys I trusted, just to talk, to get some perspective. Most of them couldn't believe she'd done this, and one of them even told me to get a lawyer and file for divorce immediately. I knew he was right. The legal stuff was complicated, but I wanted to make it clear I was serious about ending this nightmare. Throughout all this, I kept thinking about Liam. That smug little bastard. I checked out his social media, saw his smug smile, his pictures with her, acting like some kind of hero in her eyes. That's when I decided I'd give him a piece of my mind. Not in some reckless way, but I wanted to make sure he knew exactly what I thought of him. I found his number through a mutual friend and called him, but I kept my cool. I told him straight, "Stay away from my wife or I'll make sure you regret it." That seemed to throw him off, but honestly, I didn't care. I just needed him to know I wasn't playing around. The divorce process started shortly after. I hired a lawyer and began gathering everything I could to make the split clean and definitive. It was the right choice. I needed to cut her out of my life completely. I filed the papers and the process was messy. She fought me on everything, trying to make it seem like I was the one at fault. Typical. She accused me of stalking, controlling behavior, even abandonment. All lies. I knew the truth, and I was prepared to fight for everything I deserved: my dignity, my peace, my future. But even as I fought the legal battle, I couldn't shake the feeling of loss. I'd loved her, believed in her, and now I was left with nothing but the bitter taste of betrayal. I felt stupid for trusting her, stupid for thinking we had something real. But I also knew I had to move forward. Staying stuck in that pain wouldn't fix anything. I decided to focus on myself, rebuild my life, and learn from this nightmare. Looking back, I realize how much I learned about myself through this. I learned that sometimes people are capable of incredible cruelty, and that trust should never be given blindly. I also learned that revenge, real, justified revenge, comes in many forms: protecting yourself, standing up for what's right, and walking away when someone hurts you that badly. I don't hold any anger toward Liam anymore. Honestly, he's just a pawn in this game, and he's going to get his someday. But the real lesson I take away is that I'm stronger than I thought. I can survive this. And I will rebuild one step at a time. Eventually, the divorce was finalized. I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with sadness. I'd lost a lot, but I also gained clarity. I finally understood what I deserved: someone who wouldn't cheat, lie, or manipulate me. I've started focusing on my career again, tried dating a little, and most importantly, I've learned to trust my instincts. Never ignore the gut feeling that screams something's wrong. Because now, I know the cost of ignoring it is everything I ever wanted. And I refuse to let anyone take that away from me again. It's been a few months since everything fell apart, and honestly, I'm still trying to put the pieces back together. The house is quiet now, no more bitchy comments, no more fake smiles, no more Liam lurking in the background. I've moved out of the apartment we shared, rented a new place where I can breathe without constantly feeling like I'm walking on glass. It's not easy. Some nights I lie awake thinking about all I lost: trust, love, the future I'd envisioned. But I've also come to realize I'm stronger than I ever thought I could be. Looking back, I see all the signs I ignored, all the ways she chipped away at what we had. I see how her bitchy attitude masked her guilt, how her lies were just a desperate attempt to hide the truth. I regret not trusting my instincts sooner, but I also know that some betrayals are so deep, so calculated, that they change everything forever. Still, I refuse to let her steal my happiness entirely. I've started focusing on myself, getting in shape, building my confidence, and even reconnecting with old friends I'd neglected during the chaos. One thing I've learned is that revenge isn't about revenge anymore. It's about reclaiming my peace. The petty anger has faded, replaced by a quiet determination to move forward. I don't hate her anymore, at least not in the way I used to. I just feel a kind of cold indifference now. She lost me because she chose Liam and her own selfish pursuits over the love we shared. I hope she feels some regret, but honestly, I don't care anymore. The only thing that matters is that I'm finally free from her toxicity. Every day now I remind myself that I deserve better, that I'm worth real love, trust, and respect. I don't need her to validate me. I've built a new life, a better one, full of hope and purpose. I still get angry sometimes, especially when I see couples walking by, holding hands, looking happy. Part of me wishes I could go back and change things, but I know that's pointless. What's done is done. The best I can do now is learn from it and ensure I don't make the same mistakes again. To anyone out there going through something similar, trust your gut. Don't ignore those little signs that tell you something's wrong. And if you catch someone cheating, don't be afraid to confront it head on. It's going to hurt, but hiding from the truth only prolongs the pain. Be honest with yourself. Stand your ground and don't let anyone treat you like you're less than what you deserve. Revenge isn't about making someone suffer. It's about reclaiming your dignity and moving on without them. In the end, I'm grateful for this terrible lesson. It's made me realize what real loyalty looks like and what I refuse to tolerate anymore. I'm done with the lies, the betrayal, and the bullshit. I'll carry this pain with me, sure, but I refuse to let it define me. I'm rebuilding from the ground up, stronger and more aware. And I know deep down that this heartbreak has set me free, free to find someone who actually deserves my trust and love. That's what I'm looking forward to now. The future might still be uncertain, but one thing's certain. I'll never let anyone hurt me like that again.